Premier Boxing Champions PBC says it was never their intent to come back during this pandemic first and to be first. We're going to talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Head over to Patreon, link in the description, or become a channel member through YouTube if you want to stay on the platform. It all supports the channel so I can pump out this ill content. You know, we got the hottest fire conversations, the latest, the greatest. Hit the join button below this video. Now, PBC, Tim Smith, he's one of the guys in charge, and he's a front man for Al Heyman. Al Heyman doesn't really do too many interviews and stuff like that. He's always at the fights, you know, met him and stuff. And he says it was never the intention of Premier Boxing Champions during this uncertain times, you know, with the pandemic. I hope everyone's being safe. Smash the like button as well. It was never their intent to not get it right and just come back for the sake of coming back. I want to play with my trusted assistant, Money Penny, an excerpt from the interview from Tim Smith, and then I'll weigh in and give some of my thoughts on what he said and, you know, why the PBC played the background, I guess you could say, at first during this whole pandemic, and instead of just rushing back. With my trusted assistant, Money Penny. Give it up for Money Penny.
Tim Smith. We didn't want to come back just for the sake of being the first ones out of the gate. We were hanging back, but also working. We were working on the safety protocols. Just taking a page from the book of everybody that's come back in sports and taking all the advice of the healthcare experts and the governmental authorities that are overseeing the protocol. So that was part of the delay in coming back, because you have to take all those variables into consideration. You don't want to do a disservice to your network partner and leave them high and dry and have an inferior product to put on the air, and you don't have to disappoint the fans, and at the end of the day it is an entertainment. You want the people who tune in to be entertained, so you don't want a lot of showcase fights or a lot of mismatches, Smith added. You want championship matches where there's something on the line, so that both the participants are going at it fairly hard. I say all of that to say that we took a measured approach and came back with a product that we think everybody is going to enjoy and that we would be proud to put the PBC label on.
End quote. Shout out to Money Penny. Smash the like button for Money Penny. I think this is a fair, reasonable, and professional. It's the right approach. Listen, PBC, they did their thing. I'm happy with the schedule. You know, the only people who are unhappy are people like Eddie Hearn. I made a video about it. Very hypocritical. Eddie Hearn's doing a car right now. As you know, I'm doing this video right now because I have no interest in the fight camp. You know, at least this particular fight, you know, most of them. But the only fight that I'll probably end up watching is Dillian White versus Alexander Povetkin. And this ain't no boycott, but it's just, this is a business for me. So it got to make sense. And if it ain't making dollars, it ain't making sense. I would be better served hitting you guys off with some of the hottest news rather than talk about one-way mismatches that we already know. You know what I mean? We already know the outcome. You know, my time is money. But back to Tim Smith's comments and PBC, I think they've done a great job just providing fun fights for the fans. Like, I don't even know what Fox is coming out with in terms of their lineup and their schedule, but you can see Showtime did their thing. They were supposed to have Stephen Fulton, 18-0, 8 knockouts, versus a 19-0 kid with Mayweather Promotions, with a very similar record, 19-0, 9 KOs. That fight fell apart last minute, and PBC was, boom, just on top of it, right? They didn't leave anyone high and dry. This was the fight. Everyone was looking forward to it, and all of a sudden it got canceled. You know, Fulton failed, and they had a plan in place, and look, boom, they got a graphic within. So and this is the impressive thing about what PBC, what they did with it was the information kind of leaked out before they were ready to tell it. So they clearly had a plan in place, because the same day the information leaked. So it didn't just, the information didn't become available that Cool Boy Fulton had failed a drug test on PBC's watch. Other people and entities leaked the information prematurely. But this shows you they didn't get caught with their pants down and had a plan in place, because Tremaine Williams, who was already on the card, and was already training and in shape, he got elevated up to a title fight. Who wouldn't want that? And then the funny thing is, he's an undefeated fighter with a similar opponent. And it was just very seamless, just boom, boom, boom. Whereas other promotions like Top Rank and DAZN, this is not a diss. This is actual facts. This is, you could see it when they've had hiccups or people drop out, like Golden Boy on the Virgil Ortiz card. They had someone drop out in the co-feature. That just got eliminated, and they elevated Shane Mosley Jr.'s fight. You see what I'm saying? Hector Tanarea and Mercita Hesta fell apart. They felt they didn't have a game plan in place, so they just took it off the card. And same thing with Senicia Estrada. Estrada fought some girl who had a padded record from beating strippers as a result of her opponent, I guess their first choice opponent, falling apart some kind of way. So that card was a mishap, and they're charging $20 a pop for that, on DAZN. Same thing with Top Rank. They've had definite, they were the first ones back, and people kind of gave Top Rank a lot of credit for it. But I like this approach from PBC because it's not just merely about being first, it's about, how you say it? There's a lot of things in this world that people confuse. Some people confuse quality with quantity. I've always been, throughout life, more of a quality over quantity guy. You know what I'm saying? I would rather put out 2 quality videos than 10 Garbo videos just to be putting them out. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm making a bunch of mistakes in the video, or, I'm not my freshest, I don't need to put out those other 8. I'd rather just put out 2 for you. But luckily I've been doing this, so, I can kick out some fire content in both quality and quantity, in my opinion. But it's not just about it. So that's one misconception. People pick quantity over quality, right? Some people confuse effort with efficiency. What that means is just because you have a lot of effort doesn't mean you're efficient. Like, there's one person that could work a 12-hour shift and feel accomplished. Like, yes, I got a lot done because I worked 12 hours. But if a lot of those hours weren't hyper-focused hours, and you were playing around, or you were socializing, or you're on social media, then that's a lot of effort. It took you 12 hours to do something, but you weren't hyper-focused, so you really didn't get that much done. Meanwhile, you can have somebody else who, let's say Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or somebody who's has more of a team and more of a structure or discipline. He can get up at 4 a.m., work out for 2-3 hours, then have a business meeting, then go, film some scenes for Hobbs and Shaw, et cetera, and he's already done that, and it didn't take 12 hours. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people confuse effort with efficiency. Just because you put a lot of effort into something doesn't mean it is effective. That's not how that works. You see what I'm saying? And like PBC, I think they have that kind of approach where they're just like, we're going to take our time. We're going to ease back into this. This is a new time for everybody. Nobody's certain how things are going to play out. And I like that approach because so far, so good. Undoubtedly, everybody's going to probably have some adjusting to do with this whole pandemic. But I like how they responded. Their very first fight card, again, it was supposed to be Fulton versus Leo, and that was an anticipated fight. They had a backup in place. Now it's Tremaine Williams versus Leo tonight on Showtime, right? And truth be told, the reason I pull up Devin Haney on the other window is there's a lot of people are making it like this is a better fight than the Cool Boy Fulton, which I was checking for. I've seen Tremaine Williams fight. He fought on DAZN before, but look at Devin Haney. He's a superior, great talent. And he says Tremaine Williams for the win. Watch. There's a lot of, I've seen Shakur Stevenson. There's a lot of people saying that Tremaine Williams is going to win. So you could really make the argument that Showtime, with their substitute opponent, Tremaine Williams, is just as good, if not better, in the eyes of some than the initial opponent. And that's no diss to Cool Boy Fulton. I'm just telling you, it's not like a clear substitute. you have people like Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. Go look on online. There's a lot of people backing Williams to beat Angelo Leo tonight, and it's for a title. So they did a good job here. That's the whole point I'm making. They did a good job. Also, yesterday this came out. Errol Spence says, done deal. The king of the division is back November 21st on Fox PBC. Pay-per-view. Danny Garcia. Also confirmed by Danny. So, I mean, I just like how the PBC is moving right now. I think Premier Boxing Champions, as it relates to boxing, is right now the gold standard. They're forcing the competition to have to make adjustments and to step up. Because, again, it's not just about merely coming back. Like Top Rank did that, and they had a lot. It was like Top Rank became the guinea pig, kind of like what Tim Smith is saying. They were the guinea pig, and they rushed back. But then they also had to deal with it. Joe Smith Jr., Alida Alvarez, canceled. Michaela Mayer's fight initially canceled. Jamel Herring, COVID fails, 2 cancels. He still hasn't fought yet. You see what I'm saying? They had a bunch of upsets on the card. They had some mismatches. They had Maloney get upset. They had Greer get upset. So was that the right move in this like climactic time and tumultuous time? Was that the right move? And to me, I'm not going to just see, I'm using my platform and I'm changing the perception of boxing. Just because it's boxing, people feel that pandemic or not, you just got to accept whatever matches that promoters throw. That's not the case, because this is boxing. It's a sport, but it's not ran like other sports. Like if I watch the NBA, it's going to lead to the finals, the playoffs and the finals. So the best of the best. Boxing is not always guaranteed like that. So you can't just throw Canelo in there with Jason Quigley and expect me or fans to be like thrilled about it when nobody was checking for that. Nobody asked for that. And I don't care about a pandemic. It's about the content you can produce. But boxing fans, people have this like notion that I'm here to change with this new media stuff, is this notion that because we're in a pandemic, we just got to just accept and settle for mismatches, or even not just settle, but love them. That's not how that works, because I'm a carnivore. I'm a meat eater, no disrespect to my vegan friends, but pause. I like a good steak, but the operative words being, I like a good steak. Just because I like steak and that's one of my favorite meals doesn't mean I want a dried out, rubbery, tough, unseasoned, no flavor. I like a robust, flavorful, good, perfectly cooked steak, things like that. I'm not just going to eat a steak just because it's cheap, you know what I mean? Or like, let's say you like a slice of pizza. There's a ton of, I don't like Little Caesars. When I was a kid, I did, but over the years they changed, and now they're more geared to the fans of just a cheap pizza. I don't need that. I have money, enough money to get a pizza. I got enough money to get a pizza. We'll say that, so I'm not hot and ready. I'm not hot and ready. I don't want no $5 pizza. I mean, if you're starving, you just need something to eat. It's super greasy and stuff like that. If that's your deal, that's your deal. But me, I can afford to get the Round Table pizza or a pizzeria that I like, or even Costco pizza is better than that, So that's my thing. We got to change this perception that because we're in a pandemic, the boxing doesn't live on, and we just got to accept it. Just like I said with my steak analogy, I'm not just gonna eat a steak because I love steak and you didn't even cook it right, or it's undercooked, if you can even do that, what I mean, or it's too salty or whatever. You think that's the notion that a lot of these boxing fans, a lot of them have like a slave mentality. They have a slave mentality. Is like, that's the way it is. We just can't get the matches that we want, and we got to deal with it. And if you're a true boxing fan, you got to just love mismatches, or you got to just love what's presented to you. That's not the case. I love, like, let's say pizza. I don't want a hot and ready pizza. You see what I'm saying? I love food in general, but that don't mean I'm gonna eat anything. You can't just serve me some ants over rice or some stupid shit that doesn't sound appetizing to me, So we got to change this notion. PBC, They've done a hell of a job. I don't even know what their Fox schedule is completely going to consist of. I've heard rumors, but I'll wait for them to announce it. So I agree 1000% with Tim Smith. It's not about being first. It's about being productive and efficient. Jermell and Jamal Charlo on a pay-per-view doubleheader, I'll spin with you because I want to see that. I want to support everybody. Rosario, he deserves support after the J-Rock performance. Derevyanchenko, I like him. I thought he beat Triple G. He gave Jacobs, I thought he lost that fight, but it was close. And he gave Jacobs a run for his money. Respect. I'm a support that. That's how I work. People have money, so ultimately PBC, like I said, is looking like the gold standard right now. And it's making people look bad if they don't step up. We're hearing that Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko might fall apart over money. They're offering him an amount and it's not acceptable to him, 1 point something million, 2 million. And, people are judging. I don't care about none of that. That networks, they got to figure that out. But I care about the sport of boxing and the quality of the opposition. These are all competitive fights, all of them. Even Lipinets versus the Abu Karov. This dude is undefeated, and Lipinets' only loss is to Mikey Garcia. These are great fights. I did a video called Everything You Need to Know About the Showtime launch. Tank Davis. People are saying it's like a mismatch and stuff, trying to hate. Bro, look at Leo Santa Cruz has like 40 fights and 19 knockouts. He got way more fights at a pro level than Tank Davis. And Tank, that's my guy. I like both of these guys. But you see what I'm saying? Tank has half the fights he has. So I look forward to a good competitive fight. Chris Colbert. He's fighting a guy with almost as many knockouts as he has fights and 1 loss. Colbert, of course, undefeated. Nonito Donaire, veteran, versus an undefeated guy. These are all competitive. So Tim Smith is absolutely right when it comes to this. Wait a second. Don't be the first back just for the sake of trying to, salvage the money. I would rather take my time with it and get it correct and put on some competitive matches and get your ducks in a row. And if other people want to rush back and be the guinea pigs, that's on them. But I would have never did that, and Top Rank, they did it. But a lot of it was haphazard and, a bunch of fails. I could laundry list them, but that would be a waste of time. Their summer series is over. It is what it is. So I'd like to see Top Rank, see what they have next. I like the Leader Alvarez, Joe Smith Jr. fight, but, coming back first comes at a cost, especially with the situation like this whole pandemic. It's not like you just come back and everything's peachy. And I like how Showtime and PBC responded. I like them getting the Danny Spence fight done. Ultimately, we're fans. We're all boxing fans. That's why you're watching this video right now. It's because you're a fan of boxing. So I care about competitive fights, the best versus the best, or working towards that, stuff like that. So being first, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Even on my channel, I had to implement that too, because I'm pretty prompt when it comes to getting the news out to you. And when I first started, I'm super hungry and I'm quick. I was like the fastest with everything. There was like trust. There was the other issue because I was the pioneer for talking about boxing on YouTube and covering the clips in this method. Like there was nobody else covering Twitter and Instagram and showing you Canelo's weight 30 days out. And, I was the one that was really doing that, doing news clippings because I wasn't going to the fights. Other channels and stuff, they were at the fights live, going to weigh-ins and stuff. So they didn't really have to dabble in this. But me, I didn't. I wasn't a credentialed media at that time. So I had to find my own lane, and I did that. And I used to be super quick. But at the end of the day, I've worked hard enough to the point where it's not just about being the first out, because sometimes when you're first out, you don't have the facts straight, like if you just rush, like, for example, Lomachenko, Teofimo, there were a lot of people that were first and they said, oh, the fight's happening. It's a done deal for September. Then that September date moved to October. They said, okay, they're fighting now in October. I didn't make a video about that. You know why? Because my sources didn't tell me that. And it's not just about being first or just putting something out there. You see what I'm saying? Now, all those people that made videos or wrote articles contributing to that, it really looks like it led to nowhere, if Top Rank can't get the Teofimo Lomachenko fight done. You see what I'm saying? So that's an example of being first. Or Wilder. People hurried up and rushed and said Wilder versus Fury 3 could happen in December. I didn't make no video about that. The Raiders Stadium, because it was all premature. I'm not just out here putting out stuff just for my health or just for the fuck of it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't heard Wilder say one word about fighting in December. Now people are saying he could fight in 2021. So for me, it's not just about being first. Sometimes when you're first, you're the worst. You know what I mean? You putting out a bunch of stuff and it leads to nowhere. I'm not really with that. I'm not with the cloud chasing. I'm not putting out stuff. I could just put out all types of stuff as soon as I hear about it to get viewerships, but I don't want my brand to represent that. You see what I'm saying? I want to represent accuracy. So people know if they come to my channel, more often than not, I'm going to get it right. That's why you didn't see me make videos about Wilder's fighting Fury in December, because it's all premature. Now they're saying he might not fight until 2021. Some people are saying that, he didn't want to fight and all types of stuff. So I figure like wait and see. So being first is not necessarily the lick, that's not necessarily the go-to thing to do. I'd rather get my ducks in a row, come back, and damn, Keith Thurman. God damn, hey, you guys. Dude, head, look, bro, you was ahead of your class. Oh my gosh, bro. The head detective looking at, bro. Yeah, man. So being first is you ahead of your time, Keith. You better not duck me, son. But it's just not all it's cracked up to be. Like I said, let's say Terrence Crawford and Gary Russell Jr. They were beefing recently, and then Gary Russell, let's say, did an interview, and I could hurry up and put that up. And then Terrence Crawford responded to Gary Russell. Now, because I hurry up and put the Gary Russell video out, then Crawford responded after, but my video is already up. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to if I just waited, people are going to listen to me regardless. You see what I'm saying? Like whether I get the video, I try to, try to be prompt. I'm not trying to talk about the news 2 weeks after the fact. But you see what I'm saying? I get to gather everything so I can have one cohesive project and say, hey, this is what Gary Russell said. Terrence Crawford fucked around and responded. And then Gary Russell replied. So I can put that all in one for you. So I don't have to make individual videos and you have to look at this video to hear what Gary said and then Bud said. Sometimes it works like that, but sometimes it's instantaneous. So like, again, being first sometimes has its drawbacks. You know what I mean? So it's good if you can make it make sense, but it's not mandatory, I guess you could say. I'd rather accuracy and efficiency than just being first. And I think PBC coming back on their own watch, on their own schedule, has benefited them because they have some compelling matchups. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Shout out to Tim Smith and PBC. I just feel like they're getting it done, and it's forcing the competition to make some tough decisions and step up. You heard I don't know if it was like a subliminal, but he says, we don't want our partners. You got to look at the networks too. He said, we don't want our networks to have an inferior project because we just came back and we don't have no game plan in place. And, that's what happens. A lot of other promotions in general, what happened was they rushed back. And when things happen like DAZN, they got that Tulsa, Oklahoma card in the middle of the street. And when the main event dropped out because he got sick, they just elevate the co-feature. That's like the go-to move. That's the go-to move. Okay, just take an undercard fight and now it's the main event. But for a fan, that sucks because we were going to watch that undercard fight regardless, if we were going to watch the card. And then now it's just a main event. So you have to shine a turd. You know what I'm saying? Like this co-feature is now the main event. That's like the go-to move, bro. But you look how PBC has handled this in certain situations. Willie Monroe was supposed to fight Jermall Charlo on the very first Fox PBC card, and Willie Monroe failed a drug test. Boom, fight over. They took someone off the card, which was a better fight, and put Matt Korobov in there with Charlo, and you seen he made Charlo work. I thought a lot of people cap and act like Charlo lost it, but he won that fight, and he almost stopped the man in the 12th round. So that was a bad look for Korobov. Even if you thought the fight was close, he almost got his ass stopped. But that was an instance of PBC getting it right. They put together a better, more dangerous fight for Charlo There go Charlo right now. You know, late terms. You know, same thing with Wilder. Wilder had an opponent fail a drug test, just like Charlo. Charlo's opponent failed a drug test, and Wilder fought Gerald Washington, who was undefeated at the time, rather than some guy I'd never even heard of, Andre Wawowski. So sometimes in boxing, if you plan right, you can get a better fight out of the deal, instead of just like, hey, let's just do the go-to move, and now this undercard fight just gets elevated and put in the slot. So you try to sell us that if this fight was so important, just think about what I'm saying. If this fight was so important, right, then why didn't you make it the main event from the beginning? So that sucks for a fan. Again, if you like this fight so much and it was main event worthy, then from the get-go, why didn't you make that fight the main event? Because you knew it wasn't main event worthy, and you're just settling because your main event is compromised and you don't have a replacement for it. So you just elevate it, you know? And how fun is that for a boxing fan? They were going to get to see that fight anyway, and you're just now trying to have to make it look like it is main event worthy. And again, I'm sure in certain situations it has to happen like that, but it doesn't fool the fans. We know the difference between what was supposed to be a main event and what was a co-feature. So I agree with Tim Smith, like what pretty much all the stuff he was saying. It's not just about coming back just for the sake of it and then figuring it out. And again, it's worse for you competitively because you're kind of the guinea pig. You're the guinea pig, and people can learn from your mistakes. So that doesn't make you look good. They can build from what you did wrong. It's like an Indiana Jones movie. Dun, 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 dun. Indiana Jones, he be in these like precarious situations, and it's the wall with the spikes, and then you see on the spike there's like a skull and like the body and the fossils and the remnants of all the people who tried to get to the same treasure that Indiana Jones was trying to get to, but they fell into the booby traps and didn't make it. So they're just like on the wall like that. You know what I'm saying? They got killed, and, you know, the spikes going through their skeleton because they heard about the treasure just like Indiana Jones, but they were hasty and they tried to get to the treasure, and there was like booby traps in the Temple of Doom or whatever, and they couldn't make it. So Indiana Jones, being the smart person that he is, shout out to Harrison Ford, he's trying to get to that holy grail, to that treasure as well, but he got to be meticulous and calculated, because you see all the bodies and skulls and stuff of the people who had the same idea as you, but they failed along the way. They failed. So that's why coming back first is not always the lick. Like I said, I'd rather take your time. We're in the weird times with this whole pandemic, you know, and get it right. So I think that's what PBC is executing on. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Sign up. You've seen the commercial, ESPN Plus. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.